Thanksgiving, is it a masterpiece horror movie like some people are saying, or is it a disaster? Let's talk about it in today's video. So I'll start this review by giving my general thoughts of the plot, of the setting, of the idea, of the execution, and then I'll move into a spoiler section. The first half will be spoiler free, so don't worry. When I get to the good stuff, I'll warn you that spoilers are coming, so if you haven't seen it and you plan to, you can turn it off. So overall, it was a relatively fast-paced slasher. Now you'll know if you're a slasher fan, there's kind of lots of different types of slashers. I mean, slashers itself is a subgenre of horror. Well, there's kind of sub-slasher subgenre of horror. You know what I mean. You kind of have the general slow walking, chase him down, silent killer type slashers like Michael Myers, like Jason, where there's no mystery behind the killer. They're just there to kill, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Then you have the more whodunit type slashers. Scream would be a great example of that, where all the way through the film we have no idea who the killer is. We're trying to work it out. It's kind of a murder mystery type thing, and eventually we get the big reveal at the end, and it's either, oh, saw that coming a mile away, or it's okay, good twist. This was the latter. It's very much a whodunit type slasher, which, when it's not franchised, at least not yet, that's something I prefer. When it comes to iconic slashers like Jason, Freddy, Mike Myers, Leatherface, I like them just being scary, unstoppable, terrifying killers. That's great, but we know who they are. There's no mystery behind it. Now, things like this, when we don't know the killer, I think John Carver, they called him, or something like that, he's a brand new character, so not knowing who he is part of the fun of the film. Now, multiple times throughout the film, I did change my mind. I was like, oh, it's definitely this guy. Oh, it's definitely this guy. Oh, okay, it's going to be this guy. I'll be honest, when it was revealed, it wasn't any of the people that I suspected. So, good in a way, but also when it was kind of explained, I didn't really buy the motivation, if that makes sense. So, in terms of the overall reveal, the mystery, the story, good, surprising, unexpected. But also it felt like they tried so hard to make it unexpected that it was a bit unbelievable. That was one negative from my point of view. The performances overall I thought were pretty good. There was no moment throughout the film where I was like, ooh, that's bad acting. Obviously, it's a teenager setting, it's set in high school. There are some moments where you do cringe a little bit, but that's kind of just part of the parcel, if you know what I mean. So, no complaints really there. I thought the cast did a good job. The guy that plays the dad, his name escapes me. I apologize. He's out of Suits. That's the best I can give. I absolutely loved him. I loved him in Suits. He's one of those guys that you dislike but love. And that sounds ridiculous, but you know what I mean if you know the guy. He was great. I thought the daughter, she did a great job. Good sort of final girl type character. Not necessarily a memorable one. You're not going to compare her to Sienna from Terrifier 2. That's a memorable final girl, up there with Laurie Strode. But no complaints. She was a good, solid final girl. Now, the important bit. The important bit for any slasher, the killer. What did I think of his look? His look was kind of creepy, but I feel like the creepiness was less creepy because there was lots of people in the film wearing the mask. It was kind of like a Thanksgiving mask, a pilgrim for that town or whatever. So it was being worn by lots of different people. In my opinion, that kind of took away from the horror aspect. I think slasher killers are scariest when they are unique. If there's in a crowd of people, I don't know, it just takes away from it a little bit, in my opinion. You might think differently, but that's just my thought. Now, on the other side of that, the hat that he was wearing, again, to me, not creepy in the slightest. There was a moment later on in the film where the mask gets kind of burnt. That was much creepier, but he just changed it straight back. I think the character would have looked better with the mask without the hat. I know a lot of people I've seen, they like the look, they think it's really cool. I think it could be cooler. Having said all that, on the flip side, I think the way he handled himself, the way he approached his victims, because it was quite methodical and it seemed like he kind of knew what he was doing, he had some kind of, whether it be military or martial arts or something, some kind of background where he knew what he was doing, that's always more frightening to me than some dude with a knife. It sounds ridiculous and really like big-headed, but I come from a background of a lifelong martial arts background. Right now we are in my gym that I own, an MMA gym. So for me, villains that are just dudes with a knife or whatever that just slowly walk towards you, I just don't find it scary. Like, if I can fight you, it's not scary. Supernatural stuff is a bit different, but in this case, this was a killer with weapons that did have some understanding, clearly, of what he was doing. That, to me, is much more frightening. So again, good job on the killer. Could have made some improvements on the look, in my opinion, but overall, I liked it. Okay, that's my very, very brief general overview of the story without spoilers. Now I'm going to go into some more in-depth details. This may include spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, feel free to turn this video off, but like before you go. Okay, so the film pretty much starts off with a Thanksgiving Black Friday sale rush at a supermarket, Right Mart. I'm pretty sure it's Right Mart. There's about maybe 200 people stampeding outside, waiting to get in to get their free toaster oven or something. The first 100 customers to get it. Now, funnily enough, I also own a shop, and I kind of know what this is like. When we opened our shop, it's a trading card store in Newport, South Wales, Newport Trading Cards. And when we did our opening day, we gave one free booster pack to the first 25 customers. It was a 45-minute wait to get into the store. People love free stuff. It's insane. So I kind of get that is realistic. We didn't have a stampede, but I think it's a little bit different in America on Black Friday than it is over here in the UK. But yeah, there was a crazy, crazy stampede. People start getting crushed. And to me, that was almost the most frightening part of the whole movie, because that's real. You see videos online all the time about people going absolutely mental. Like, it happened in COVID, right? During lockdown, people were flooding the supermarkets trying to get the last loaf of bread and pushing old women out of the way and stuff. It's disgusting. But it's real. It actually happens. So to me, those sort of kills, they kind of hit home a bit more. There was a really, really tragic one where one of the wives of one of the characters dies, and there's two people arguing, and her hair gets caught in a trolley, and she pulls the trolley away, and it rips half her scalp off. Like, that's not only gross, but you feel it because there's a chance that stuff like that could happen. So to me, that opening scene was delivered very, very well. I think I would have liked, this sounds awful, I would have liked to have seen some more deaths in that scene. I think 3 people died, if I remember right. One had a throat cut, one was trampled, and one was just hit by something and then had her hair and scalp ripped out. I think that was all the deaths in that scene, and then the rest of the plot is based around getting revenge for that day, for the Thanksgiving trample, stampede, crazy Black Friday massacre. So I get it, but I almost feel like there should have been more deaths. That sounds silly, but it's a horror movie. We like deaths, right? We're horror fans. So all the way through the film, we know that it's someone that is at least related to someone that died or was injured or whatever in that incident in Right Mart. Now, all the way through the film, there's a character that kind of disappears straight after it, who is the boyfriend of the main girl. He gets his arm broken. Now, he's a big-time, big potential pitcher in a baseball team, right? Whatever. I'm not a baseball fan. So he gets his arm snapped, and it's like a career-ending injury, and he just disappears off the face of the earth. So they're very much trying their best to make it out that it's him. The day he comes back into town, these Thanksgiving murders start. So if you've got a brain, you go, well, it's going to be him. But my brain, because I've got a brain, is telling me that it's not him because the movie's telling me that it's him. So straight away, I was like, well, it's not him. But then towards the end of the movie, they literally show him in the killer's costume. And the main girl's like, oh my god, it's Bobby. I think it's Bobby. And I literally thought, oh, did they do like a double, it's too obvious, so it's not him, but because it's so obvious that it's not him, that it's not obvious? This is getting confusing. But you guys get what I mean, right? So I kind of partly was thinking, oh, that's actually quite good. It was so obvious that it shouldn't be him, that it was him. I was like, okay, it's different. But then they went back on that again, and it turned out it was this cop that's been throughout the whole movie helping the main girl try and catch this killer. So I didn't see that coming at all. But then the backstory they give is the woman that had her scalp ripped off, he was secretly having an affair with her. She was going to leave her husband for him, and she was pregnant with his child. It was all very, oh really? Oh right, okay, sure, right. It's like they just needed a backstory, if that makes sense. And so she was pregnant, she was going to leave her husband for him. It kind of felt a little bit thrown together, but I dig it. Now the last sort of portion of the movie ends up with him. He's unmasked. He's been found out because of something on his boots. That's how she found out it was him. The final girl then films him kind of confessing without him realizing, and he's like, oh, well, it's up. So he tries to kill her, People come and save her. He ends up getting caught in a fire. It's all very dramatic. The only thing I didn't like about the ending is he gets caught in this big explosion. This fireman comes in and he's like, the only thing left in there is ash. No one could survive an explosion like that. But there's no body. So we know they're building it up to be a franchise. He's going to come back. He's going to be all burned. He's going to look badass. He's going to look like Freddy Krueger or Jason after he gets revived, like more zombie-ish, you know. He's going to look scarier. Which, to be honest, I think you give him a scarier look than what he had in this film. Like I said earlier, when the mask gets burned, it looked really cool. But then he changed his mask and he went less cool. So I think there's potential for him to be a really, really cool and memorable slasher villain. It just wasn't in this movie. Having said that, overall, I very much enjoyed the journey. Like I said, big twist. Didn't see it coming. He had me going, oh, it's him. It's not him. It's him. It must be him. It's not him. It's him. Oh, it's him. So, quite a ride. Overall, I'd give it for a slasher, I'd give it an 8. It was definitely a solid slasher. I've seen reviews, like I said at the start, saying it's a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece. It's just a very solid slasher. If you can, go and check it out while it's in the cinema. Support horror movies, because if you don't, we're not going to keep getting them. So go and get a big group of your friends. Go and see it. It's only out for a short amount of time, but we need to keep supporting these horror movies, my friends. Anyone that I get a chance to go and see, I am definitely going to see it, for sure. So that's it. That's official. 8 out of 10. It gets a recommendation from me. It's my first review on this channel. I feel all hyped right now. If you guys enjoyed my review, it was very quick. It was very brief. It was very undetailed, but hopefully it was still enjoyable to watch. Let me know if you want to see me review more upcoming horror movies once I've seen them, because it gives me an excuse to see them, and it's for the channel. It's good fun. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about Thanksgiving in the comments down below. I'll see you next time, and remember, stay scared. Dead scared.